Hey guys, so I've been trying to figure out how exactly to do a sign language lesson video, and my first thought was, of course, the A, B, C, but I didn't think that would be as interesting because, I mean, anyone familiar with American Sign Language has seen the little charts that say A, B, C, you know, and it's relatively easy to, look at the pictures and, for finger spelling is what it's called, just mime or mimic whatever the letter does. What can be a little bit harder to learn is actual words. And I'm just going to teach you basics, just enough so that you can construct basic sentences. But yeah, what I did was I picked up from when I took sign language this past summer all of these vocabulary lists that I wrote my notes all over, and that way I could flip through them and have some idea. So those are sitting here on my desk. But yeah, I can sort of tell you a little bit about just some basic words that might be easy to construct into simple sentences. Before I start giving you guys words, I want to explain that sign language grammar is a little bit different from regular English grammar, and that is because it doesn't tend to use a lot of the filler words. I think I explained this a little bit in a video last month when I did the sign language version of Be a Man from Mulan, but for example, the first line in that is, "Let's get down to business to defeat the Huns." But if you're signing it, you're only saying we down business defeat, and then you would finger spell Huns. You don't really need to say let us get down to business. It's not efficient, and especially given that signing a word can sometimes take longer than saying it, especially, Huns. It's more efficient to just take out the filler words and basically only sign enough such that you get your point across. Like, you could even say we go to, I don't know, defeat Huns or something like that. Another thing is finger spelling Huns. Anything that there isn't really a sign for is generally finger spelled, and that includes a lot of names. So a lot of the times, like people will generally have a sign name. So for example, in America, there is a university called Gallaudet University, which is a school for the deaf. And the guy who founded that, because he was such a big part of the deaf community, was given a deaf name, or a sign name, which is this. So this is Gallaudet. And that's, I guess, the basic example I can think of, but generally deaf people and people who are important to the community will have their own sign names, which makes it a little bit easier if you're, talking about a specific person, but otherwise, it helps to, just sign initials or something like that. So, for my sign language class, we had to do a presentation where we talked about the basic biography of a U.S. president. And every time we would refer to that president, you would either say he, which would just be sort of pointing, and I'll explain that a little bit later, or you would do the initials. So if I was doing mine on Abraham Lincoln, I would go A-L, and then go on to say whatever it is that I'm saying about him. Just easier than finger spelling it out all the time. But yeah, so first thing I want to explain is pronouns. So like I said earlier with he, pronouns are generally, you're pointing at, if the person is present, you point at them. So I, you, they. Or he or her. They, if it's multiple people, you sort of do a sweeping motion. So if it's all of you, or such as you guys, I might go like that, or us, or they, and generally if the person isn't present, you sort of point off to the side, just to sort of indicate that person who I was talking about. And for possessive, it's the same, only with a flat hand. So my, your, his or her, your, their, basically. And a lot of sign language is very self-explanatory like that. Gestures are exactly as if you might do them or interpret them in a conversation. So other examples are basic adjectives, big, small. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Let me see. I don't think you guys need to learn all of the days of the week, but today is, so that this is the letter Y. You do it like this down. It's today. If you bounce it, if you do it down once, you're saying now. So you go now, or you go today. To see how something like that can be, can make kind of a big difference. Let's see. And tomorrow is you put your thumb on your cheek and you go forward. So tomorrow. And yesterday is yesterday. So if you think yesterday is like you're going back, like yesterday, and then tomorrow is going forward. Let's see. I don't think you guys need to learn all of that. Oh, another thing. So for a lot of when you're talking about a person, if it's a female, it tends to be on the lower part of the face. So mother, woman, girl. If it's a man, it tends to be the upper part of the face. So boy, or father, or man. And it tends to be the same with other things as well. So like if you want to say niece or nephew, you make this sign, which is N. You sort of do it in circles around the chin if it's niece, because this is female, and around the head if it's male, so nephew. And then, aunt would be an A, uncle would be a U. I imagine cousin is the same, but yeah, so that's something that tends to be important to remember. And then, for example, if you're saying son or daughter, if it's a daughter, it's down here. If it's a son, it's up there. And then you have your arm like this, and you sort of scoop. You see, this is the sign for new. So essentially, you're saying like a new girl or a new boy. So daughters, sons. So going back to the Mulan song, did they send me daughters when I asked for sons? And then friend is like this, so like linking with one finger. So girlfriend, boyfriend, or girlfriend, boyfriend. is like this, where you go around and so interesting because friend is like this, so you're linking just one finger, and then marriage is holding hands. So they're very similar in that regard. And then, you know, so a wife would be a woman marry, and a husband would be man marry. Let's see, what else? So a student, interestingly enough, okay, so some words will come in two parts. So teacher, so this is the sign for teach. And if you want to say teacher, you do teach person. So just like this, down as person, teach person. Or, you know, any other profession, you know, like a lawyer would be, and I don't know how to sign this one, but law person, I think this is law, so law person. Or worker would be work person. But interestingly enough, student is not study person, one would think. But no, student is learn person. So this is the sign for learn. Sort of like you're sucking the information out of a book. So a student is learn person. So study, or not study, learn, teach, studies, like that. So, like that's like you're scanning a page. But learner, teacher. Let's see, other things. So, if you're saying, so questions, so what, it's like this, which, again, very self-explanatory, just like this, what. Where, it's like this. Let's see. Who, is like this. Which, is like this. Why is like this. So this, again, this is the letter Y, and you're wiping your head off in doing this. And it's interesting because if you do this, it's forgot or don't know. Because, you know, this is no, so don't know or forgot. So why is like saying, why? I don't know, why? Let's see what else. Yes, I mentioned don't know. And because this is no, so no, don't know. Want and don't want. So don't want is like you grab something and then you drop it because you are not interested in whatever it is at all. And then like is sort of like this, like you're plucking your heart, like, and then don't like is like you pluck it and then you throw it because, like I said, you're not interested at all. And then talk is like this. You can either talk and wave it back and forth or talk. But if you're mentioning saying something specific, so say, it's one out. But if you're chatting with someone, so if you're saying let's talk, or you can say you tell me, or no, here's tell or say, or something like that. I hope you gather what I'm trying to explain with that. But let's see, what else? Oh, so please, if you're asking for something, it's rubbing a circle on your chest. And if you're apologizing, if you're saying sorry, you do the same thing but with a fist. So please, I'm sorry. If you're saying you see is generally see, or something like this. So this will mean look at, this will mean see. What else? I think I mentioned this is work. And this is play. So all work and no play. Oh, that's what I forgot. This is yes. So it's like your fist is a head that is nodding, and this is no. Let's see what else. Another ones that are make sense, but maybe not as so. Like if you're saying something open or closed, you generally mime it like this, open or closed, depending on what it is. So like this is door. If you're doing it like this, and you can use it to say, you know, like the store is open or the store is closed or something like that. But say, for example, like this is window. So if you're saying open the window, you say, then you would, you know, do it this way instead. Let's see. So yeah, open, close, open, close. Oh, here's another one. So ask is like this, hook, but if you bounce it, it's need. So ask, you wiggle it, it's question. Do like this just once, ask, and bounce it, it's need. So I need, I don't know, I need the time, or you have a question? Oh, have. See, I keep forgetting what it's important, and it's hard to say sometimes, but anyway, so you have question, or you ask me. Another important thing is facial expressions are very important in ASL because it's sort of like the punctuation, but it's a little bit more than that. So if you're asking a question, you kind of make that kind of face. So I wouldn't just say you ask. If I had a question, I wouldn't be like, oh, question, why? You know, or something like that. Or if you're, you know, if someone's making demands of you and you're saying no, then you wouldn't just be like, no. It seems kind of comical when you start doing it, but once you sort of get the hang of it, and when you're actually interacting with people using sign language, particularly within the deaf community, it starts to feel a little bit more natural. Once you're making all these facial expressions and they're doing the same thing, then it starts to make a little bit of sense because, you know, that's how you tell what the other person is thinking or feeling or whatever. And because within the deaf community they can't just always say what they're thinking, and because at least before things like the internet, it was a lot harder for deaf people to transmit ideas. So the culture is full of tell everyone everything, be straightforward, you know, even if it's something that might offend someone normally, or that someone might not normally care about. You know, like, you walk in late, you explain to everyone exactly why you were late, you know, because who knows, if there, say, was a huge accident on the freeway, you tell everyone, hey, there was an accident on the freeway, that's why I'm late, and then everyone knows. Transfer of information is very important, and it sort of makes sense then that you would need to get the idea across, you know. And it's, again, like if you're being sarcastic, it's hard to tell from the signs because you don't have that tone of voice, you know? So, like, there's a difference between saying why and saying why, you know? Which would kind of be like, and I hope that made sense. But yeah, I think that should be enough of a basic lesson. If there's more that you guys want me to teach you in sign language, then let me know. I've only taken one sign language class though, so I'm not like, you know, I'm not an interpreter, I'm not an expert, nothing like that. I'm just a person who took a class and found it interesting and wanted to share what I learned. So, yeah. And there are plenty of websites that have sort of sign language dictionaries. So, the one that I generally use is called Signing Savvy, and I'll link to that in the description, but basically you type in a word and they show you like a little GIF of the person signing it, and that way you can sort of learn new signs that way and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. There are a number of websites like that, but that's just the one that my teacher had recommended to us for the class. Alright, and now, before I go, for those of you who are still watching, if there are still people watching, I assume if you are still watching, then that means you have some interest in my channel beyond just this video, because now I'm going to talk a little bit about this channel and things that are changing and what that means for me and for you. So those who do follow my channel may have noticed that my videos have been less consistent lately, and I don't want to divulge too much in terms of personal detail just yet. Things are still a little bit tentative, but basically, for now, I think I will likely be going back to doing one video per week, which is how it was when I first started making videos. I don't know if any of you remember or have followed me that long, but I started out with one video a week, and then I started doing two because I liked it so much and I had time on my hands, but now I don't have that time anymore, so I'm going back to one video a week, and in a future vlog I will explain everything, but for now, I'm sorry, I don't have the time. But yeah, hopefully, you know, things will get better and I'll be able to go back to two. Alright, that's it. See you guys next time.